Hello guys, today I will read my first book and it is called Mouse in Space. So I will read the first chapter of it. Two Cheesebrains in black masks. It was a dark, chilly, moonless night and I was snoring contentedly under my cozy comforter. Not me guys. I was having the most fabulous dream. In my dream, I was floating in space, happily hovering over cream cheese asteroids, Swiss cheese planets, and mozzarella comets. Just as I was about to nibble on a yummy looking crater, something woke me up. I heard a click, like the sound of a log being broken. Then I heard a creak, like the sound of a door opening. And finally, I heard a swoosh, swoosh, like the sound of a muffled feet. Holy cheese! Someone was in my house. In a panic, I grabbed something to protect myself. Unfortunately, it wasn't a baseball bat. It was my slipper. Rats. Still, I forced myself to scamper into the living room, and that's when I saw them. Two shadows in the dark. Ah! I yelled. Ah! Yelled the shadows. Ah! I yelled louder. I was so scared. My heart was racing. The shadows were looking more like mice wearing masks. Who were these intruders? What did they want? Money, jewelry, a homemade Swiss cheese sandwich on rye? I'd have to wait to find out. A moment later, I fainted. I woke up the following morning when a ray of sun hit me in the eyes. With a groan, I sat up. Then I rubbed my head where an enormous lump had formed. Where am I? Who am I? What time is it? Why are not I in my bed? And why do I have an enormous lump on my head? I muttered. Then I tried my best to answer myself. My name is Stilton, Geronimo Stilton. I am the editor of the Rodents Gazette, the most famous newspaper on Mouse Island. I am in my house and it's morning. I answered. I sighed with relief. At least the lump on my head hadn't turned me completely clueless. A few seconds later, everything came back rushing to me. The two shadows sneaking around my house the night before, grabbing my slipper, fainting. Had anything been stolen? I ran to check on Honeyball, my little red fish. I gave him some of his favorite food and he slapped his tail in greeting. He was as frisky, as cheerful as ever. Then I checked my collection of antique Cheesebrains. I am very fond of them because I find each rend one by one in antique shops all over New Mouse City. Not one was missing. Few. I began opening drawers and cabinets to make sure everything was where it should be. Carefully, I poured through it all. My favorite books, my ties, a cheddar-colored sweater from my aunt's sweet fur, a painted rock from my dear nephew Benjamin. Luckily, everything was in its place. I was so happy the intruders didn't take any of these things that meant the most to me. I didn't really care about my money, but even that was all there in my wallet on a table in the living room. How odd. If nothing was stolen, then what did those two cheesebrains and black masks want? Why did they run off? Suddenly it dawned to me what had happened. When I held up my slipper and screamed, I had scared them away. That's right, I, Geronimo Stilton, biggest scaredy mouse on all of my island, I sent those rotten cheesebrains running. I couldn't believe it. I was a true hero. I scampered to the bathroom and began getting ready for work, happily whistling to myself. I looked at myself in the mirror. Yes, I decided I did look stronger and prouder. In fact, you could say I looked heroic. I was busy staring at myself in the mirror that I hadn't heard the phone ringing. I picked up after the 10th ring. It was my grandfather William Shortpaws. Grandson, what are you doing here? Why didn't you pick up the phone sooner? I refuse to be kept waiting. Get your tail in gear pronto. There were a ton of robberies in the city last night, he screeched. I know, grandfather. Last night, two Cheesebrains in Black masks broke into my house too, but I chased them away with a slipper. Oh, and then I fainted. But still, I was a real hero, I squeaked. Grandfather snorted. A slipper? Sure, the slipper can be very scary. Now listen, hero. Get your fuzzy head out of your fairy tale book and get moving. We need to get the scoop on those robberies for the paper. I sent your sister Thea over to you with precise instructions. You need to figure out who's behind all these robberies. After you do that, write an ace article and have it on my desk by tomorrow morning. Got it, now move it, he shrieked. I tried to interrupt, but grandfather wasn't listening. Cheese niblets, he continued. If it were not for me, the rodent's gadget would be a complete mess. That's right, I'll tell you who the hero is. It's me. The next thing I heard was the dial tone. And that, friends, that was the end of the chapter. And if you want to know more, so like and comment on my every single video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.